This is the Awful Announcing Podcast. Here's your host, Brandon Contes.
Alrighty, welcome to episode 34 of the Awful Announcing Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Contes, and this week we have former NFL wide receiver, longtime media member, and current Undisputed co-host Keyshawn Johnson joining us. Keyshawn, thanks so much for coming on the podcast today. You are going on about 5 months or so at Fox Sports now and with Undisputed. How do you feel that the show is going so far since you joined in August?
Good, Brandon. You know, everything is smooth sailing the way that I anticipated to, and I've been asked that question a million times. I'm like, it's fine. I don't know. What did you expect? You know?
Yeah. You've been in the media for it's almost 2 decades, 18 years or so.
Yeah.
Did you always have an interest in media when you were playing? Did you always know that this could be a second career for you?
Oh, absolutely, Brandon. I think when you go to the University of Southern California, which is USC, it's the media capital of the world in Southern California. Our longtime sports information director, Tim Tessalone, was always prepped players for next stages of media in their life. That's why when I went to New York from USC, I ate the New York media alive. I just they bully everybody else, but I just chumped them up myself. But I knew once I would retire and stop playing football, that I would automatically just move right seamlessly into sports media.
Yeah, and it was absolutely seamless. I think it was the day that you announced that you were retiring, you also announced that you were going to ESPN. And when you were in New York, did you, like you said, you ate all the media stuff up? Did you, were you listening to sports radio? Were you listening to Mike and the Mad Dog and WFAN or reading
absolutely.
everything about you? Because I know some players try to avoid that type of stuff.
Yeah, but they lying, cracking shits. They sitting up lying. They read, we read everything. We read it all. We see it all. We see everything you say. So when they sit around lying, oh, read the media, don't pay attention to it. Sure you don't. I remember my coach Parcells, Bill told me one time, he goes, no, he was talking to the team. He was like, I don't know who the locker room lawyers are, and I don't know, you guys is this, that, and the other. And I don't read anything in the sports media. And then like the next day, I don't know why you guys would tell the media that. I'm going to find out who it is. It's like, well, I thought you didn't read anything, But no, you pay attention. You absolutely do.
So in addition to Undisputed now, you're launching a podcast this week for Fox titled All Facts, No Breaks. If you can, give us a brief overview of what that podcast is going to be.
Well, obviously, you're going to talk sports. I'm trying to stay obviously away from the political side of things. So that's just not. I don't get caught up in that. But you want to tell the truth. You want to be factually correct and tell the truth. A lot of times you're gonna get individuals that you may that may disagree with you, but in the end, as long as you know the truth and you told the truth and you were truthful about it and you went hard at it, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not looking for clickbait. I'm not looking for those things, Brandon. I'm not trying to be a celebrity, a star. Oh, look, he got 80 million hits on that clip. I'm not that's cool and all, but I'm not looking for that. I've been in this business for a very long time, but I've also been a face in the world for a very long time. So I'm not looking for clickbait. I just want to have a good time with a lot of professional athletes and entertainers and just be relaxed and chill and having a conversation. Because as you know, I don't know where y'all got the name Awful Announcing from, because I don't know what that really means. That means that the shows are good or bad that you write about. I don't know what that means. But in the end, as long as you're putting out good stuff and good content, that's all that matters. Because you're never going to satisfy everybody. It's not going to happen.
And just to clarify, I think the name Awful Announcing, we've had it for a while, and initially it was more so to point out awful announcing. But in the last
From
10
your
years or so,
awful announcing from their point of view, right?
our perspective, yes.
Or your
Sure.
your perspective, yeah.
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 But in the last 10 years, it's definitely grown to it's no longer just pointing out awful announcing. It's pointing out all announcing. So good stuff, bad stuff, unique stuff, everything.
It's funny though. Awful and that's like, oh, that guy's awful. Well, who's to say you're not awful?
Yeah, well, it confuses a lot of people on social media now because like we'll tweet out a clip of something that is good, and then you get people replying like, "Well, how this is great? How is this awful announcing?" And I think some people still are stuck on the name. Your son is going to be involved with the podcast as well.
Yeah, nepotism, Brandon. I'm sure you've seen this in this industry, right?
Yeah.
You've seen
Oh
it.
yeah.
Why not?
Definitely
Hey, if everybody
happens.
else can do it, how come I can't do it? Why can't I lift mine up? Right?
Yeah.
That's the way I'm approaching it, and don't give a damn about what nobody say. Because the difference is he's actually good at his job. That's the difference. Some people, but he's good at his, and this is his first opportunity in his time. He knows a lot about sports. He knows a lot about life in general. I thought it was extremely important to bring him on board and allow him to participate.
So you've done plenty of radio and TV in your career. What appeals to you about the podcast space?
It has a little bit of both. It has a little audio component from a radio standpoint.
Yeah.
But it also has an interview standpoint to it. It has the fun nature of it. I've been doing this almost 18 years now. And I've been on, obviously, I worked at ESPN for 17 plus years. And I've been on all sorts of different platforms. I've been at the highest of the highs. I never got to the lows, but always at the top of the food chain, right? NFL Countdown Sunday and Monday, NFL Live, national radio, local radio, NFL Live, and Sports Center. So I've done so many different things that this is kind of all of it morphed in one, so to speak.
Active players having podcasts and media platforms, that's something that's become commonplace. Like you look at Draymond Green, Aaron Rodgers, Micah Parsons. If you were playing in the NFL today, do you think that you would have created a podcast as an active player?
Most likely. I mean, I had a sports talk radio show on NBC in New York with Lynn Berman as my first couple of years in the NFL. Then I had, when I went to Tampa, I had a radio show as a player in Tampa with, oh God, I can't even think of the Dog. I can't think of the first name, but Dog. So then I went to Dallas and I had one on Sirius XM with Stevie Cohen. So of course, if I'm in this playing in this day and era, I'm going to certainly appeal to what it is, which is podcast space.
Is that ever a distraction doing media while you were playing? Like do you think Aaron Rodgers going on the Pat McAfee show, is that a distraction for himself? Is it a distraction in the locker room? Do other players pay attention to it and get upset with it?
No, I don't think that upset is the wrong word to use. I think people do pay attention to it. Are you going to play well is the key. Or are you going to live up to your end of the bargain? Because if you live up to your end of the bargain, what's the difference between shooting a bunch of commercials and doing a podcast? What's the difference between having a life outside of football in the off season versus playing? So you tend to hear this narrative about God shouldn't do this, he shouldn't do that, he shouldn't do this, he shouldn't do that. If you can handle it, why not? Coaches get coaching shows, so why can't players do what they want to do?
Yeah. I think maybe part of it is if they're saying something that creates headlines and then like other players or coaches are getting asked about it. Like if Robert Saleh is getting asked about what Aaron Rodgers says on McAfee, is something like that a distraction or really just doesn't matter?
I don't think it really matters, but is he holding his end of the bargain? Is he holding his end of the bargain? You talking about, I don't really necessarily subscribe to the fact of talking about other players. I don't subscribe to that. I don't need to talk about them. I need to take care of what I'm doing in-house here.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I don't think that a guy has an opportunity to have his own platform should be penalized because he plays a sport. I
Sure.
just I don't subscribe to that at all.
Do you think that Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old and coming off a missed season is capable of holding up his end of the bargain next season with the Jets?
Yeah, if he's healthy, he is
Yeah.
100%. He's got to stay healthy though. Just unfortunate that his Achilles got torn, and he tried to make a miraculous comeback, but the Jets didn't help him by putting out the effort that they put out on the field.
Sure. How's working with Skip Bayless?
Oh, I hate it. It's the worst ever. I mean, like, come on, man. How many times you think I've been asked that question, Brandon? I don't understand what I mean, I get you got to ask the question, but I don't understand why people ask the question. Like, what he's fine. I mean, everybody always like, how's it working with Skip? How's it working with Keyshawn? Is Keyshawn really like that? It's like, I'm who I am, and Skip is who he is. And this is all it is, Brandon, is entertainment based, baby. That's all it is. You're having fun, entertainment. Nothing's personal. It's not that deep. I know I played football. I know he didn't play football. I know he's a journalist. I'm not a journalist. There's no need to, it's no need for that. It's all entertainment. Opinions are opinions. He has an opinion. I have an opinion. You have an opinion. We have opinions. We communicate with one another. We talk. Maybe your opinion differs than mine, but doesn't mean that you're an awful person because your opinion is different than mine. But you see, these sort of things happen where people be like, well, what happened there? How come he's like that? Do you get sick and tired of him talking about the Cowboys? No, I don't get sick and tired of him talking about the Cowboys because then that gives me something to make fun of him with.
So then were you rooting against the Cowboys or
I actually picked the Cowboys to win the game. And I watched the games on Sundays with Michael. We watched the games together. And I kind of was hoping that they lost at the same time.
Yeah.
Because Skip and Michael get on my damn nerves with the non-objective opinions of the Cowboys. When the Cowboys are going left, they'll say they're going right. It's like, no, stop, man. Y'all got cowboy glasses on instead of saying what it truly really is.
Do you feel like compelled to bring balance to the show because Skip Bayless and Michael Irvin are such big Cowboy fans?
Not compelled, but I'm legit in terms of even kill on opinion. I'm legit. Like, I'm not going to praise unnecessarily, and I'm not going to slander unnecessarily.
Sure.
I'm even across the board. If it's great, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's in the middle, it's in the middle. Some people, no matter what, going to say, oh, this guy's great. He's a great player, blah, 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 because they have a biased, objective opinion. I don't. I have an opinion that can go either way. I worked with people in the past. They just won't get off of certain players. Like, oh, I'm like, dude, he's not good. He's not playing good. No, it's not his fault. And you be like, all right, man, whatever. I can't win with you. They go to the grave with certain guys. I'm not going to the grave with anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it would have been interesting to see you and Skip Bayless on the same show during the Tim Tebow days.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have gone in the grave with Tim Tebow. I like Tim.
Yeah, but Skip did.
No, but I like Tim.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I like Tim, but I saw what that was early. I wasn't gonna do it. I couldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I'm just not. I'm not that guy. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and tell you a guy is really good. He's taking the team to the Super Bowl when he's not.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I think Skip probably thinks that a team could still pick up Tim Tebow though, and he'd take them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he probably does. He still thinks that the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl, even though they lost.
So aside from Skip Bayless being a huge Cowboy fan and Stephen A. Smith hating the Cowboys, how else do they differ, Skip and Stephen A.?
Well, they differ because they don't even look anything alike. So there you go. Right? I mean, it's just, but they're.
Well, are they both competitive? Like, do they both take the task of debating sports very seriously?
I think everybody is different. They all are competitive. We all are competitive. But what I like to say is I'm not debating. I'm having a conversation. And
Okay.
Stephen A will tell you the same thing. I used to tell Stephen A, I said, man, I'm not debating. I'm having a conversation. I'm trying to educate you. If you don't want to be educated, that's something different. Same thing I tell Skip. I'm not debating you. I'm having a conversation because your ass is wrong and I'm right. And that's a conversation. And if you want to win this conversation, so to speak, come with the correct facts, and we shall see in the end whose facts was better. That's it. Because debating is not, it's not a debate. I know you guys are so used to seeing it called a debate show, but for me, it's a conversation. I'm just having a conversation like I would normally have with you if I saw you at the bus stop and you said, hey, Keyshawn, I thought I would be on the bus these days, but you know what I'm saying. In the grocery store line, hey, Keyshawn, what do you think about my Giants? And I have a conversation with you, and you tell me Daniel Jones can't play, and then I have to explain to you, well, maybe he does play, and that's just a conversation. That's all it is.
So does Skip take to that the fact that it's a conversation, or does he still feel like it's a competitive debate? Do you think?
I think he knows that it's a conversation with me.
Yeah.
With me, because when you know your co-host and you know his personality, you know that conversation can get louder. It can be at times interrupted. But that's a conversation. It's not a debate. Debates are, I'm not into it. I'm into the conversation. But Skip knows that the challenges are there. We can challenge one another. And he has his facts. I'll have my facts. And it's just a beauty. It's a thing of beauty. I enjoy it a lot, man. Working with him, and I think he's 71 or whatever
72.
the number is. 72 years old with that type of energy and work ethic and stuff like that. I wish when I become 72, I want to be able to do those things. I want to be able to wake up at X amount of hours in the morning, go work out, get some of the fat off my body, write a show, talk to your co-host about the show, do all of those lively things and run it back the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day, because it's one thing that he does do. He works hard at his job.
Yeah, no, his energy at 72 years old is off the charts. It's definitely very, very impressive. Do you fully respect Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, like their opinions, even though that they never played professionally and you did? Like, is it a different level of knowledge that you have because of that, and are you able to fully respect their takes and opinions?
Well, number one, Brandon, it certainly is a different level of knowledge, but the difference is they understand that, so they're not trying to put themselves in my shoes. They're having an opinion based on what they see. So that's the great thing about working with people like that. When you work with people that think they know more than you at what you did, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a problem. And Skip nor Stephen A approaches it that way, trying to tell you about your job and your business. Yeah, Skip may say, well, Dak did this, Dak did that. Okay, but here's what happened. Here's why that happened. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, now I get it. That's a conversation. Yeah. That's a conversation. And that conversation is lovely because he's not trying to tell you about your job. That's like me trying to tell him about how to write a book. Even though I got a couple New York Times bestsellers myself, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to sit up there and act like I'm a journalist. I'm not going to do that, because his line of work and his career is different than mine. But he doesn't approach it. So I respect the fact that both of those men know sports, and they're what do you call it? Rabid sports fans, so to speak, of teams, and they know sports. I have friends that never played. I have friends that don't even look like they know how to walk and chew gum at the same time. But we could have a conversation about games and sports, and I can respect that, even though they didn't play it. I am never subscribed, nor have ever been a person that said, well, you didn't play. How would you know? Like, I almost curse, but I don't even deal with people that treat people like that. Like, oh, you didn't play, so you don't know. It's like, well, clearly he didn't play. So I don't need to tell him he didn't play. Clearly he didn't play. So to take that low ball approach, that's low hanging fruit. Like, what type of individual want low hanging fruit? to do that to somebody. So no, I don't. I respect them at the highest level when it comes to sports, because even if Stephen A. tell me my Lakers ain't gonna do nothing, or Skip say the Lakers are LeBron James, and now we can have a conversation about LeBron and Michael Jordan. And now I can bring my facts on why Kobe is this, or Shaq was that, or Tatum is this, or Booker's that. We can have that conversation because neither one of us played professional basketball.
Yeah.
So hopefully I gave you what you was looking for, Brandon.
Yeah, great stuff. Has Skip ever, would you say he's won any conversations with you so far since you've been on Undisputed?
Won any conversations? I don't necessarily know. No. He gonna lose every single time. Because he ain't gonna lose every single time. He gonna lose every single time. Every single time. I know when he's losing too, because then he wants to rush the commercial break.
So now that you're on Undisputed, do you feel like you're in competition with First Take?
No, I don't even watch. I think we're on the same time or whatever, so I don't get a chance to even see what's going on. I've never been in competition with anybody in anything that I've ever done in my career as a player. I've never been in competition with other wide receivers because I don't care. I'm only in competition with myself to be the best I can be at what I do. Because you have to take everything with a grain of salt. First Take, I'm assuming gets a higher viewership because they're on a network that's been around for 50 years, and their show was I guess the one who started this sort of platform. Right. And then Undisputed in FS1 has only been around 7 or 8 years or something like that. So you already behind the sticks based on number of years in terms of networking. So you see what I'm saying? So now you playing a little bit of catch up, but that's for y'all to debate. That's for y'all to have a conversation about on Awful Announcing. Which show is better? Which show is the competition? I know for a fact, ain't nobody in this business like me. That's what I do know. That I can guarantee you that for 100%. Ain't nobody nowhere on none of these fucking platforms as good as me. I can promise you that.
Were you surprised when you got let go by ESPN last summer?
No, I wasn't at all, Brandon. I kind of had a little heads up way beforehand that something could be coming down the pipeline. So for me, I was already mentally conditioned that they could be potentially going in another direction and, buying me out of my contract. And then we'll go from there to try to figure out, what the next steps would be. And because I'm good at what I do, there was a number of networks lined up to court me for my services, but I'm from LA. Fox is down the street. It just made all the sense in the world with the great timing. I could have been a lazy bum and sat on my ass and collected my check, but that's just not who I am. Think about it. I could have just sat on the couch, collected a check, and chilled, but that's just not my makeup of who I am.
Yeah. No, that was going to be my next question, because you had just signed that 5-year deal shortly before, so you absolutely could have sat there.
You sure it was 5 years?
That's what I had read, that it was 5 years.
Don't believe everything you read. I'm just kidding with you.
Did you enjoy doing morning radio? Like, was that a grueling schedule when you went to ESPN Radio, doing ESPN Radio in the morning, then you were doing First Take some days and NFL Live in the afternoon as well after that?
Brandon, it started off. So originally I was at ESPN on Countdown.
Yeah.
Sunday and Mondays, I didn't work during the week. And LA was always looking to have a local sports talk radio show. And the people that was in charge of the station at the time was still trying to figure out how to do a morning show. And so when they made a decision to blow up Countdown, NFL Countdown, and get rid of like all of us that cast, to let that cast kind of dissolve and go our separate ways, I then started to figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do next? And they said, okay, at ESPN, here's what we got available. We want to start a morning show in Los Angeles on radio, and we want you to still do NFL Live. We want you to do NFL Primetime with Boomer, and we want you to do some Sports Center stuff. So I said, okay, let me sit back, let me chew on it, let me make that decision. So I made that decision. Then Norby came to me later on, a couple years later, in terms of our national morning show, I want you to come aboard and move your family to New York. And so I went back and forth, and said, you know what? This might be good for me, but I still want to do NFL Live and I still want to do some other stuff. So they say, hey, okay, here's what we're going to do. You can do some First Take, you can do some Get Up, you can do some Sports Center, you can do, we're going to mix it up and give you some stuff to do, but we need you to do this morning radio because we think you could take it to the next level for us. And so I said, okay, we moved to New York for a year and we rolled with it for 3 years. And then whatever decision they made financially, with what they wanted to do in terms of their company, they made that decision. And so at the end, I accepted their decision and landed at FS1.
How was working with Max Kellerman?
Good, man. Max is fun. Max is, working with Max is like anybody else, right? You try to get a feel for him. I knew Max, but I never worked with him. It was fun. It was interesting because he had his own dynamics and stuff like that. He never worked in a 3-man booth before and on radio, and he was used to working by himself in radio most of the time. And so it just was different. But because I knew Max from LA, it was fine. I mean, it was fine for me. I mean, at times you get frustrated with all your co-hosts, but for the most part, Max was cool.
Have you spoken to Max since you guys left the radio show? Because like Jay Williams is still on ESPN, you're at Fox, but Max hasn't done anything.
Yeah, no, I talked to him, but we didn't discuss where the landing spots are, nothing like that.
You replaced Mike Golick at ESPN Radio, and you replaced Shannon Sharp at FS1. Did you feel more pressure with one, or was one like a tougher task than the other?
What? Pressure? Come on, man. I didn't even look, everybody is different. Mike Golick's situation was different. Shannon Sharp's situation is different. They come with a different package and a different audience. It's just different. I'm me. You know what I'm saying? People got more pressure trying to replace me than I do replacing them, just so that you know.
There have been some rumblings that John Gruden might try to get another NFL coaching job this offseason. You played for him in Tampa Bay. You obviously saw why he and the Raiders parted ways a few years ago. Do you think Gruden deserves another chance or will get another chance in the NFL ever?
It's not my job to say whether or not he deserves another job opportunity. That's whoever hires him has to make that decision and live with that based on the allegations that's set out there in front of the world to see. It would be very difficult for me as a player to want those allegations to come into my locker room.
Yeah. Did you, I know that there were, you had some rough, I guess, interactions with
hey, look, wasn't rough with me.
Yeah.
Wasn't rough to me. It's a player and a coach that don't see eye to eye. That's not rough.
But
finish my career.
No real issues playing for him at the time like that.
Him and Bruce Allen tried to sign me back 3 years later. After I retired my first year at ESPN, they actually tried to sign me back. It's on record. I'm not telling you anything that the rest of the world don't know. They actually tried to sign me back so they could make a playoff run the year I retired.
Two more quick things. After Tom Brady retired for a second time last year, I think you believe that he was still going to come back, like so many people did. Now a year removed from when he retired the second time last year. I think you were still.
I'm trying to think. When did he retire the first time? He
the year before.
Once.
No, he retired and then he came back after like 20 days, and then last year he retired.
He was done. He was done after that.
So you
mean after this past, not this season, but 2022 season?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I knew he would be done after the 2022 season.
So still definitely done. No chance that Tom Brady, in your mind, at age 47 would
now?
Yeah, why not?
Not a chance, man. You living the dream. It's so
no,
over.
I'm not living the dream. I'm a Jets fan. I'm fine with Tom Brady not.
No, it's so over.
How do you think Brady's going to do as a commentator?
I don't know. I don't know. I would wish him well and hope that he does well, but those things are difficult, man. It ain't as easy. You got people like you at Awful Announcing that's gonna pick every word apart. Yeah, I see what you guys do to old poor Jason Garrett. You guys are just hammering him away, I'm sure.
So do you have any interest in becoming a game analyst?
No, because I have a face that needs to be seen. Some game analysts they're not seen a lot. I know, but I have no desire to just talk football.
And Tony Romo, he was a backup when you were with the Cowboys, right?
I think Tony, yes, but Tony was on the practice squad.
Oh, okay, practice squad.
When I was with the Cowboys for those 2 years.
So did you have much interactions with him?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of interactions. He still owed me some money for my floor seats.
Floor
I gave
seats
him for the Maverick games.
The Mavericks. Did you at that point? I mean, obviously, it's kind of hard looking back on it because nobody even knew if he was going to become a starting quarterback at that time. Did he seem like a personality that could have a prominent media career?
You know what, man? I was so focused on my own stuff. I personality-wise, that you look back at it, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see where it would work in the media. He could bullshit the rest of the world, of course. That's my guy, man. I like Tony a lot. I wish he'd have just won a Super Bowl so people wouldn't talk so much craziness, because he was good, man. The dude he was really good. He's like that Dak Prescott. It's like.
Do you feel the same way about Dak, that you hope he wins the Super Bowl too, so he doesn't have to deal with that?
Yeah, because you hate to see that. You hate to see a guy who does not deserve the blowback the way that he gets it.
Yeah,
it just it's crazy. He gets it, and other people that's in the same situation and even worse gets praised. It's just like, and they hadn't won anything. It's like, come on, man.
Do you think Mike McCarthy is going to be the head coach of Dallas next year?
I don't know. It's still early. For all I know, Jerry might fire him tonight.
Yeah, right. We're recording this on Tuesday. The podcast comes out on Friday, so that's something that absolutely by Friday that could certainly change. And what do you think about Belichick? Same thing. Like by Friday, something might change. But where do you think Belichick ends up, or do you think he is it a guarantee that he ends up somewhere? Could he end up taking a year off?
100%. If he wants to coach again in the right situations, he's gonna coach. That's what he does.
What do you think the best fit for him is?
I think the best fit is the Chargers, but do the Chargers think it's the best fit for them? Regardless of what we think, do they think it's the best fit, or do they think someone else is the best fit?
Keyshawn, you were great. Thank you.
Problem, man.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
All right, man. Anytime. Now I gotta delete this app. I'm a guy that does not have a bunch of apps on my phone.
I stand by. I think if you clicked the link, it should have worked. I don't know that you needed to download the app, but feel free to delete it.
I downloaded it and it worked. When I didn't have it, I couldn't go in. So either you sent me the wrong link.
I didn't send you the wrong link because your PR guy got in through the same link. So maybe he sent you the wrong link.
Maybe so.
All right, that is Keyshawn Johnson. I'm Brandon Contes. This is the Awful Announcing Podcast. Please rate and subscribe to this podcast. Please also subscribe to Awful Announcing's YouTube page. But regardless of how you consume Awful Announcing and the Awful Announcing Podcast, thanks for listening and be good.
Thanks for listening to the Awful Announcing Podcast. For the latest news spanning the sports media landscape and more, check out awfulannouncing.com and follow us at Awful Announcing.